What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who classic review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 4th Doctor Tom Baker story, Meglos. This is the second story from season 18, Tom Baker's final season, and it's one that I can't remember if I've seen this one before. I know I did have it in the kind of DVD collection that I used to get, and I actually still have them all, but I'm not sure if I actually got around to watching this one. I can't remember it if I did anyway, so this is basically a first viewing for this one. Heard mixed things about it. Most people don't seem to love this one so much. So yeah, I was interested to see what this one would be like. Anyway, this is Meglos by John Flanagan and Andrew McCulloch. On Tegela, two opposing factions are irrevocably divided over one fundamental issue, the dodecahedron, a mysterious artifact which provides the entire planet's energy. With the Savants and the Dions locked in a crippling stalemate and their civilization on the brink of collapse, the Tigelan leader Zaster seeks the Doctor's help, but the Doctor and Romana have been trapped aboard the TARDIS in a time loop by Meglos, the last of the Zulfa Furans, who will stop at nothing to steal back the awesome power of the dodecahedron. A lot of long, complicated words in that one for me to try and get through. But yeah, listening to the back of that, reading the back of that DVD, sounds somewhat interesting. You know, you've got this power source of the dodecahedron. Multiple different kind of groups are wanting this power, and the people on the planet of Tegela want to keep this power source because it is their power source, whereas you've got everybody else trying to steal it from them. So that is the main premise of the episode. Anyway, let's get started with the cast. So Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor. Tom Baker's really good in this one, actually. I do very much enjoy him. I mean, he pretty much plays two roles. He plays the Doctor, and he also plays Meglos when Meglos has kind of disguised himself as the Doctor, and he plays both roles amazingly. He's funny, he's quite funny in this one, has a few funny moments for sure, and generally just, his kind of chemistry with Romana, Tom Baker and Lalla Ward's chemistry is some of the best chemistry out of all the Doctor Companion chemistries. So yeah, really awesome stuff there, so everything is very good for Tom Baker. And Lalla Ward as Romana, also really good. The more I watch of Romana, the more I really do like her character. I think Lalla Ward plays the role really well, and like I said, the chemistry between her and Tom Baker is just absolutely amazing. It's such good chemistry. She has some great little moments with K9 as well. So yeah, altogether, really good stuff from both leading characters. So now for the good and the bad, starting with the good. Jacqueline Hill returns to play Lexa. So if you don't know who Jacqueline Hill is, she played Barbara Wright, one of the first companions, first companion with Ian and Susan for the first Doctor. She returns however many years later. What is this, like 66, 76, 14 years later, I believe, to play a different character. This time she's playing Lexa. And yeah, awesome to see her here. Of course, she's looking a lot older, but still putting in a cracking performance. Can't say that I really felt so much for her character as Lexa. I think the characters in general in this one didn't really do much for me. None of the characters really stood out as that fleshed out, that great, that well written in a lot of ways, but I think Jacqueline Hill puts on a great performance as Lexa. The Doctor and Romana get put in a chronic hysteresis, I can't remember how they say it. Basically, it's a time loop. So they're in the TARDIS, they've pretty much been called down to come down to the planet of Tegela, but they keep getting stuck in this time loop, and they have to figure out, they get this like short kind of window of time after the time loop happens to do something before the time loop then starts over again, and they can remember every time this time loop happens. So a little bit strange. They eventually managed to kind of do what was happening in the time loop, but not while the time loop was happening, and that frees them from the time loop. It's a little bit confusing and a little bit strange. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know how that all works, but yeah, it's interesting seeing them in this time loop. There are two versions of the Doctor. One is taken over by Meglos. So basically, Meglos is this plant creature, the last of his kind, and at the start of the episode in part 1, he he kind of puts himself into this human body, who I think they just call Earthling. He's just like a random Earthling, never gets a name or anything as far as I know. He's literally in the credits as Earthling, and puts himself into his body. So he's not just a plant that can't move. But then kind of, apparently he can then kind of change the way he looks there and makes himself look like the Doctor. But then the Earthling is still kind of inside. He's just kind of projecting himself to look like the Doctor. And yeah, kind of gets around and does certain things and manages to get the dodecahedron because of this. So yeah, it's interesting seeing Tom Baker playing both these roles. Like I said earlier, I think he does very well with both. And yeah, especially at the end, at the end of part 4, where the Doctor and Meglos, disguising himself as the Doctor, are both face to face, and yeah, it's pretty cool, especially for the 1980s, to see that sort of effect of the same actor there in the same frame, and it's actually done really well. And finally, for the good stuff, because I'm going to be honest, there's not a whole lot to talk about here. Meglos and the Geztax both want the dodecahedron, for its energy source. So yeah, I basically mentioned this in the kind of plot synopsis on the back of the DVD. They want the dodecahedron because it's a great power source. That's really it. That's really the premise of the episode. I think it's a decent enough plot. It's a little bit kind of, there's not a whole lot to it. It's just these two factions want an energy source from this planet. The inhabitants of the planet don't want them to steal the energy source because it's theirs and it is all their energy. It's very basic. It works, but it is very basic. So on to the bad. There is a little bit to talk about here. My list is pretty much the same size as the good list. First of all, Meglos is literally just a talking cactus. Now, I was at least glad that we didn't just see a talking cactus throughout the whole story. Yes, the whole thing was that he wanted to put himself into a humanoid body so that he could move around and do all this sort of stuff. But for the first, when it was at the start, just literally the talking cactus, completely still, didn't move at all, needed to be carried around. How he even got there, he just kind of appeared in the room. Was he there the whole time? He just kind of appeared. I don't really know how he got there. Yeah, it was a bit weird. It was definitely a bit weird. The Geztax are the typical stupid characters that work with the enemy. So what I'm saying about this is, basically, I just didn't really like the Geztax as characters. They were kind of the space pirates. Their whole point in this was really just for Meglos to kind of take over them and make them do what he wanted them to do, and then supposedly, I'll also give you some of this energy source once we get it. But I don't know, I didn't like, especially the main kind of Geztax guy, I can't remember their names. He was okay, but the other guy was just your typical, he's a bit too stupid, he's a bit dim, a bit silly, and yeah, I just really didn't like him, and just didn't really like the Geztax in general. They just kind of felt like a bit of a tacked on thing to add on to give Meglos a bit more of a, I really just didn't like those characters. The Doctor makes the Geztax and Meglos destroy themselves. Now, I make this quite clear. Whenever the Doctor purposely kind of kills someone or a race or whatever, I don't really love it. There are times where I think it works okay, but mostly when the Doctor is kind of losing his way, and then, that gets addressed. But here, he just straight up kills them. He changes the coordinates or whatever on all the systems on the ship and pretty much blows them up, as far as I can understand. He doesn't give them any chances or anything, or doesn't even warn them that this is going to happen per se. Well, at all. I don't think they knew it was going to happen until it did, and they were dead. So, yeah, I'm a bit iffy about that, personally. I think with it being the Doctor does not want to purposely kill people, especially Meglos. He's literally the last of his kind. That's genocide. He's just completely destroyed a race. And the final thing, I think it just ends a bit quickly. It really does. The Geztax and Meglos get destroyed. The Doctor and Romana go back to the TARDIS. They say goodbye to Lexa and what's his name, Zaster, the main guy there that the Doctor knew. And then it's over, it's done. It just kind of ends. So yeah, I thought it was a little bit abrupt. So a rating for Meglos, it's a little bit difficult to be honest, because throughout the whole thing I was thinking, yeah, there's not really a whole lot going on, but it's not terrible. I was thinking, yeah, maybe like a 6 out of 10. But honestly, the last 5 or 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes maybe, I actually put this one down another point, because just of how the Doctor did just destroy them all, and then how quickly it just, and abruptly it just seemed to end. So I'm going to give Meglos a 5 out of 10. I think it's kind of slap bang down the middle. I just really don't think it's that great. It's not awful, and it's only 4 parts long, so yeah, it doesn't really feel like too much of a slog, but ultimately there's not a whole lot that really happens. The plot's very, very thin. There's just really not a whole lot of substance there, so yeah, 5 out of 10 is what I'm going to give Meglos. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.